Up until this point, many have tried, but no one has yet succeeded in creating a foam core pickleball paddle that is top tier competitive, durable, and not an overpowered rocket launcher. So when Carbon announced development of the TruFoam over a year ago, we were really excited but skeptical this narrative would play out any different than it has before. Carbon finally sent us some TruFoams about a month ago, and after weeks of playtesting here in Seattle from temps of 20 to 70 degrees, doing everything I could to put these through the ringer, I'm happy to report that the Carbon TruFoam is unlike any other paddle on the market today in a very, very good way. Carbon is calling this their TruFoam Genesis lineup, their first iteration of this foam core technology. And like their really popular X series, this lineup is going to come in their 1, 2, and 3 shapes, but only one thickness at 14 millimeters. Now the rest of the specs and tech here are going to be pretty in-depth, so if you just want to know how this paddle plays and performs on court, you can skip ahead to the on-court playtest section down below. The key tech in the TruFoam Genesis revolves entirely around the core makeup. The core of this paddle is composed of a proprietary blend of high-density foam, much stiffer than the EVA foam used in some other foam core paddles and in places like the midsoles of shoes. The Genesis's foam core features cutouts around the perimeter of the hitting area that add flex to improve power and forgiveness, while the center of the core is actually drilled out, and that's primarily to reduce weight, as the weight of this proprietary blended foam is higher than the standard polypropylene honeycomb found in most paddles. You'll see the foam goes through the entirety of the paddle face and handle, and notably surrounding the foam is no thermoformed carbon fiber perimeter. Most performance paddles of the past 2 years have had a thermoformed carbon fiber frame, but Carbon went a different direction for, I believe, 2 key reasons. 1. Thermoforming allowed manufacturers to add structural stability and eventually floating core technology that let otherwise really stiff honeycomb cores store and release more energy with an enhanced sweet spot. The entirely different approach of Carbon's foam core allows the core itself to store and release energy without the need for an additional perimeter structure. Reason 2, one of Carbon's main goals with the TruFoam series was to eliminate core crush, and thermoformed paddles with that frame inherently have a predisposition to core crush and the associated trampoline effect that makes them incredibly and dangerously powerful. So while manufacturers have improved their thermoforming processes, there's still cases of core crush out there, and I know for a fact that Carbon was adamant to remove that issue from these paddles, and I'm happy to report that even in really cold temperatures, we've experienced no core crush or breakage in these paddles, or even a break-in period that changes their performance, which is really, really impressive. A quick note on core thickness here as well. Unlike their X series, which has 3 different thicknesses, Carbon says that their foam tech doesn't function like a normal poly honeycomb core, making offering multiple core thicknesses unnecessary. If that's true, I really appreciate the streamlined customer experience of not having to choose a thickness and find that perfect matching paddle on top of finding the shape. And that makes selecting the right paddle a lot easier. And on these, the 14 millimeter core just feels right. The surface of the TruFoam is a raw carbon fiber texture, and included in that carbon fiber layup is a layer of fiberglass. So, carbon fiber alone typically creates a really consistent and durable platform for the face of a paddle, while fiberglass has more of a spring and energy return, though fiberglass paddles can have a slightly smaller feeling sweet spot. By including a layer of fiberglass within carbon fiber, Carbon unlocks a bit of the best of both worlds, so to speak, with the control of carbon fiber and the added pop and energy return of fiberglass. I've been lucky enough to playtest all 3 shapes of the TruFoam for about a month now, spending most of that time with my preferred shape for any paddle, which for Carbon is their 2 shape. We'll start off with power, and that's a fitting place to start with a foam core paddle, though the TruFoam Genesis didn't play like foam core paddles I've hit in the past. Overall, the power potential of the TruFoam falls right between all court and power, and the best way I can describe that power is linear. What I mean by that is, unlike some exceptionally poppy paddles that want to jump off the face no matter how hard you swing, the TruFoams were responsive to energy input with a very predictable energy output. So more so than even some control paddles, softer shots felt shapeable and precise, while on serves and drives when you really swing out, I was able to put some serious pace on the ball and didn't feel limited by the core itself. The TruFoams fall in the elite category when it comes to spin potential, and while the raw carbon fiber texture plays a big part in how you can grip the ball, it's actually the dwell time allowed by the foam core that allows you to catch and release your shots so powerfully. The team at Carbon says that the core allows you to generate spin similarly to the strings on a tennis racket. And in fact, the dwell on these paddles is so high that it actually takes some time to adjust to, as the ball hangs on the face longer and shots will actually launch at a higher angle. You need to close the face of the paddle more than you're used to on topspin drops and dinks to keep the ball low over the net. Now, I believe this is going to be the biggest challenge for most players transitioning to the TruFoam, but mind-bending, long-lasting spin seems like it will be well worth the adjustment period. Elite spin, controllable power, 3 great shapes to choose from, in ideal weights at that. It's hard to say who these paddles aren't a good fit for, to be honest. But players who love to shape the ball, bring good technique with them to the game, or are tired of their paddles core crushing are going to absolutely love the TruFoam. Players who are just learning spin, or those who play a flatter game more about placement and counterattacking, may like this paddle, but there are paddles better suited towards that play style in my mind, like Carbon's X Series, for example. After 18 months of development and hundreds of prototypes, Carbon has finally cracked the recipe that has yet to be perfected on the market. And while I'm sure there are many iterations of the TruFoam and its tech to come, there's something really special about the Genesis models that I think is going to resonate with a ton of players. I certainly believe that you'll see a lot of them on your local courts, and if you get a chance, please try them. If you want to shop TruFoams or learn a little bit more, check them out over at pickleballcentral.com. If you have any questions about the TruFoam, please drop them in the comments down below. Otherwise, we will see you next time. Thanks so much for watching.